Well, good morning, everybody. What's up? Give me a thumbs up in chat if you guys can hear me. Go ahead and get started. We do have a few things to discuss for tomorrow's severe weather potential. What's up, Chloe, Tina, Martin, G. Ferrero? What's up, everybody? Hello from Fostoria, Michigan. All right, awesome. So we do have a level 2, we'll call it a level 2 out of 5, known as a slight risk in effect from the SPC. That's going to be highlighted in the areas in yellow. And then around that risk, we do have a level 1 risk known as a marginal risk, a little bit less of a threat around there in the green areas surrounding. So basically, in Michigan, south of Saginaw, south of Alma, and then Mount Grand Rapids and south. That is where the threat currently is. Go ahead and zoom in on this threat and go over the hazards that SPC highlights, and we'll jump into some models. So first and foremost, here's a zoomed in look for the risk area. So areas within the highest risk tomorrow is going to be a slight risk, level 2. Detroit, Ann Arbor, Adrian, Monroe, Jackson, Coldwater, Three Rivers, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Lansing, Pontiac, and Flint, as well as areas in the lower risk, South Haven, Benton Harbor, Holland, Grand Rapids, Ionia, Hastings, Port Huron. Okay, your guys are in the risk, but a lower risk up there in areas in green. So what are the hazards? Number 1, there is a risk for tornadoes. It's a 5% risk in the reddish brown area for that slight risk area. So areas I mentioned before. So Three Rivers, Kalamazoo, Lansing, Flint, Pontiac, Detroit, Ann Arbor, Jackson, Adrian, Coldwater, Monroe. You guys are in the highest risk tomorrow for a tornado or two possible. Further north towards Port Huron, Ionia, Grand Rapids, Hastings, Benton Harbor, as well as South Haven, you guys are in that lower risk, but still a risk nonetheless. Next threat is going to be for damaging winds. Now, the damaging wind threat is pretty low with this event for right now. It's only a 5% risk. Usually on these types of risk, we have like 15 or so percent, but it's a little bit less of a threat here. So it's only a 5% wind risk. So not overly concerned at this point for winds. However, it's still a possibility across the entire risk area there in South Michigan. The highest threat tomorrow is going to be for large hail. That's going to be a 15% risk there in the yellow area for South and Southeast Michigan, and also a lower risk surrounding that in the brownish red colors. So all hazards are possible: tornadoes, damaging winds, large hail. Let's go ahead and dive into some models here. We'll give you guys our thoughts as well. So first and foremost, we're watching how tomorrow or how today plays out and how it's going to affect tomorrow. So we do have a couple of areas here out in the Iowa, Missouri that's experiencing thunderstorms. It's going to move east towards our state with time. And if you actually, I believe I believe, don't quote me on this. We're going to double check this really quick. But if we look at the risk today, the very far southwest corner of Michigan, yeah, there it is. Just a tiny sliver over there in Berrien County is in the risk today. Not expecting anything today at all severe. We could have some rain overnight tonight with these storms moving in closer to midnight. But overall, no severe weather is expected tonight or overnight tonight. This line is going to move eastward, and it's going to clear out right around 8 a.m. in the morning. We're going to have some scattered showers in the area, but we should see some breaks in the clouds, some sunshine here to heat the atmosphere up, and that's what's going to drive the second round of storms later on in the afternoon. So the model you're seeing here is 10 a.m. in the morning tomorrow. We're going to look towards the west here at noon. Here is your line of storms to watch out here in West Michigan and North Indiana. This is at noon. Let's go ahead and bump this forward to 1 p.m. It develops further. Here's 2 p.m. Here's 3 p.m. Here's 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and then clearing the state by 6 and 7 p.m. So between noon and 7 p.m. is going to be the main time frame. If you're in the west side, it's going to be closer to the noon, probably 2 p.m. time frame. On the east side, closer to 4 to 6-ish. All right. We'll have a timing map made up by tomorrow morning, so you guys have a better idea. But for right now, that is the general timing. Now, along this line, though, we're going to have the potential for, again, damaging winds, large hail, as well as a couple tornadoes being possible. It's conditional on the point we're going to be returning to our it's conditional, should I say, at the point of the instability returning. So we look at a few ingredients here. Behind that line of storms in the morning, we're going to look for our return of instability here, which is already present on the models here. A really good increase of instability here. We're getting areas of instability on the surface between 1 and 2,000, which is quite significant for this time of year. So that should be more than sufficient to get the atmosphere destabilized. But otherwise, watch your dew points very closely. We're watching this as it rolls in the morning. But overall, we do expect the atmosphere to re-destabilize after the morning showers and storms that move through. We should have a pretty good area here. We call the warm sector, where storms are likely going to be able to fire back up and survive and even strengthen in. So overall, it is a risk tomorrow that I would definitely pay attention to. It is only level 2 right now. I wouldn't say, I wouldn't be overly, anxious about it at this point. I think the main threat is going to be hail. I do think there is a low chance here for a tornado or two in the state. I don't think that threat is overly concerning, but I do think it is a risk to mention. But also the wind risk as well, I think needs to be a little bit higher, in my opinion, more like a 15%, just because we do get a line like that, like a bow echo line. It could mean some gusty winds on the very front of that gust front there on the line of storms. So overall, all hazards are possible. The next update from the SPC will come at 1:30 p.m. today. If anything changes with that, we will post on the page immediately. But overall, again, timing on this, 12 p.m. in the west part of the state, clearing the state by 7 p.m. So it's going to move very fast off to the east-northeast. So again, your risk area is right here. I'll look to the comment section here for some questions. Let's go ahead and scroll back up here. Flint is in the marginal risk. So with this risk being so close to, say, Flint, Hastings, you guys are basically in the risk for the slight risk. Within 25 miles, you guys are in that risk. Enhanced risk possible? I don't think so. Unless we see a major uptrend on models, I don't think an enhanced will be issued. If it is, it'll be likely for large hail. Pure curiosity, how rare is it to see that 50% chance of tornado in an extended forecast? You recall we're seeing it in Michigan? I'm not sure where you're seeing that, Corbin. I don't recognize that 50% chance at all. I don't know where you're getting that from. The surface-based instability values appear to have increased since yesterday at this time. Yes, I agree, Kyle. It has. Do you think it will move north or go up a level? So there is potential for this to move north. The latest models do have an axis of instability all the way up to Mount Pleasant. So like Bad Axe, Mount Pleasant, Big Rapids, Fremont, Muskegon areas. I definitely stay alert for changes in this forecast. Right now, you guys are not included, but I would not be shocked based on latest model trends. This does get bumped to the further to the north there. Patricia, the time frame is going to be 12 p.m. in the west side of the state, and then storms are going to clear the state by 7 on the east side. So between 12 and 7 is going to be your time frame, depending on exactly where you guys are at. Could the line break down before hitting Flint area? We really can't. We can't really predict that. We can get an idea of where storms are going to be, which is right in the area of the Flint area, all across the state. Really, we have this good line of storms here, but this is just projected radar. It's not meant to be taken as gospel. It's just going to show us what this model is spitting out for a solution, and this solution basically is a line of storms. Greasy breaks in the line, sure. Where that's going to happen? Could happen in Adrian, could happen in Jackson, could happen in Lansing, Flint, Port Huron. I have no idea. We don't really know that until tomorrow. Do you think it'll get worse for Davison? I really can't tell you if it's going to be worse anywhere. I can't tell you Kalamazoo is going to have a bigger threat than over in Flint. I can't tell you that. All I can tell you is refer back to the SPC guidance here. The yellow risk areas are the highest risk. So Davison to be right on the edge there of that slight risk. So yeah, I'd say you're pretty much in the higher risk for tomorrow. Could you run the model tomorrow zoomed in? I can try. So the website I'm using right now does not let me zoom in, but I do have one that I have access to, but it's been down today. So let me check and see if that's up and running. I can bring it in here for you guys. I believe it is. Give me 1 second here. Let's go ahead and take this as a zoomed in look for Michigan. There we go. Perfect. All right, this is the radar for the storms tomorrow. All right, so here is noon. We have that line of storms all the way from basically Ludington all the way down to about the border, basically by St. Joseph County there. That's at 1 p.m. Here's 2 p.m. It's kind of like a line through the state here. Here's 3 p.m. There's 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and 6 p.m. And then should be out of the state here by 7 or so. I'd say so, Janice. Monroe and Carlton, your guys are in the risk, slight risk, level 2. Tornado threat upgrade tomorrow possible? I don't think so. I would not be shocked, honestly, if they downgrade this to a 2% tornado risk. I don't think it's overly concerning tomorrow. I do think it's a possibility we have 1 or 2 in the state, but it's not something that I would, freak out about. What time is the rain starting tonight? Right around 8 p.m. in West Michigan. I notice on this model here, I don't think it's going to happen, but there's an isolated cell out here in Northwest Ohio that's just on its own. That's weird. That's at 8 p.m. tonight. Rain shield's moving in here to the UP and also Southwest Michigan there. That's going to move in. And it's going to rain all night, basically. Here's, 2 p.m. or 2 a.m., 4 a.m., all the way through the morning. Here's 8, 9, 10, 11, then 12 p.m. we have those storms developing in West Michigan. So. Okay, Corbin says, clarify on the map showing the chance of tornadoes. So this map right here. Just curious how often that is ever predicted this far in advance ever. I have honestly never seen a 50%, 45. Actually, what I believe there was 145% risk for tornadoes, and that was utilized at the outbreak of April 2011 in Mississippi, Alabama. I believe that was a 45%. Otherwise, most of our risks around the Midwest are usually 2 to 10%. Sometimes we'll get an occasional 15, but otherwise, usually it's pretty right around that 5%, 2% risk that we're seeing today or seeing for tomorrow. Middleville, I'd say probably South Michigan, South Central Michigan. Did anybody tonight, or did anybody in chat last night get to see the aurora? It was dancing last night, north of Lansing. What time for Grand Blanc? I leave work at 4:30. Right about 4:30, honestly. Between 4 and 5, I'd say for you guys there in Grand Blanc would be a good time frame. What is the area you're most concerned about in Michigan? Honestly, the profiles on the atmosphere right now are pretty much the same across Michigan. There's going to be a warm front draped on the north side of this threat, so along the warm front might have better shear profiles up there towards Flint, Ionia, Lansing area. But how far north, how far south that gets is going to be dependent on tomorrow's analysis. But overall, though, I think the main risk for tomorrow, the main concern should be large hail. So if storms can stay more so isolated, where they don't congeal into a big line, those are the storms that can produce those really large hailstones. Like we're talking probably like golf balls, which is I think a possibility tomorrow, based on what I'm seeing. So we'll see what they do with the new update here at 1:30. But overall, I'm more so concerned tomorrow for the hail threat over winds or a tornado, although winds and tornadoes are still possibilities. How does this compare to when the tornado hit Grand Blanc? This is not a comparable setup. The setup today is like a low pressure, warm front, cold front, really typical system. Back on February 27th, we had a lot of mesoscale features working to enhance wind shear for spinning tornadoes and spinning storms. We had we called MCV in the area. We had a warm front that the storm's attached to and rode. So a combination of things came together back on February 27th to get that to happen. But this one, it's just going to be a pretty much pure warm front, cold front type of setup. So if any storms tomorrow can ride the warm front, they would have some potential for a tornado, which is why you see this risk in place. But overall, we had a few other mesoscale details working in the favor back in February. I have a dentist appointment at 1 in Lansing. Should I be worried? I wouldn't be worried. I wouldn't cancel your plans or anything for this. Just be aware of the threat and make sure you identify your safe places in the event a warning does get issued so you know where to go. But otherwise, I don't really see many tornadoes, if any at all, tomorrow. It's a risk. I'm more so worried about hail, although this could change with afternoon model guides and stuff like that. But we'll keep you guys updated. Tina, I think the 5% for now is good. Last night's models really came in interesting with wind shear profile, stuff like that. So I think the 5% is good. This morning's models, if it continues to trend for this morning into the afternoon and evening, I could see it being downgraded based on a little bit less of wind shear available for these storms. But again, this is the SPC; they're the experts, so I trust their guidance with this forecast. Is the setup favorable? Is the setup favorable? I can't talk today, guys. Is the setup favorable for tornadoes? I'd love for it to be downgraded. This one is more so hail and wind, in my opinion, more so hail. The chance for a tornado is quite low, in my opinion, at this point. If you asked me last night, I'd say, yeah, probably a couple tornadoes possible. But this morning, I'm kind of leaning more so towards mainly going to be a wind and hail type of event. But again, the risk is still in place. We're going to mention that just because with the wind shear and stuff we have in place, it's a possibility, but it more so favors that large hail and damaging wind type of thing. Martin, I honestly was kind of surprised they didn't put the 15% wind out there. I would expect there to be a 15% wind. I think it will be at the end of the day. So we'll see. We'll see about that. But right now, it's only a 5% risk. Can you use your magic and turn into raining cheeseburgers instead? What kind of a question is that? Are we supposed to get a lot of rain tonight? No, about a quarter inch to about a half inch. So not much. So when we're talking threat, it means severe storms. The way you discuss it as far as tornadoes are concerned, you're not feeling confident about it. So breaking this down again, I believe the tornado threat before this outlook got issued. This outlook got issued at 2 a.m. So we're basing, I believe, SPC based this this forecast on last night's guidance of the models. And last night's guidance of the models did have a little bit higher of a threat for tornadoes than the models this morning are showing. So if that trend continues where the models aren't showing too high of a concern for tornadoes, that is where my confidence kind of goes down. They could uptrend again, a good possibility, but they also could continue to downtrend. So we'll have to watch that through the day. Right now, confidence in the tornado threat, I'd say, is kind of low end right now. We'll have a better idea probably this afternoon and this evening as new data comes out. But for right now, the trend is for a lesser threat of a tornado threat developing. But I'm just going to highlight that it's not a complete zero threat. It's just at this point, I believe it's downtrending. What's up, Drew? Yeah, shout out to Drew, guys. Drew's our partner chaser. We were talking, we were up looking at models, stuff like last night at 2 a.m, and we hopped off, and I hopped on Facebook for one last time before I went to bed. And the first post in my feed was the Aurora in the UP. It was just going insane. So I hopped on. There's a group called Michigan Aurora Chasers. Not our group, but it's Michigan Aurora Chasers. It's a group, and there's tons of pictures last night. And I texted Drew. Drew, are you still awake? And he's like, yeah, what's up? And I'm like, the Aurora's happening right now, dude. Look at this. He's like, then the next message I got from him was him sprinting to his car to go drive north at 2 a.m. Oh man, that was fun. I was almost ready to go live last night there to discuss that and also the SPC, but that was Shout out to Drew, man. He got some good pictures up in Mount Pleasant. Any wind chances tomorrow? Yes, there is a 5% risk for wind. Would not be shocked if that got upgraded to 15, but yes, there is a risk for wind. Yeah, the hail map is right here. The yellow risk is 15%, and the brownish red color is going to be your 5%. Top wind speeds, 60 miles per hour. Give it to me straight. Am I going to need to do tree cleanup in Newport? Honestly, this is not a setup I would say be prepared for tree cleanup. Possibility. It's going to be localized, though. It's not going to be widespread basis. Branch County, right around probably 3 p.m., 2 to 3 p.m. Could we see some water spouts in St. Clair? You know what? That's a great question. I don't think this is going to be more so a water spout further east, maybe closer to, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't think so. What model apps do we use? We use everything, Martin. The main ones we use for broadcasting are the COD site and also Pivotal. We do have a subscription that we pay for model data that's not really publicly available, which gives us all these models, but it costs per month. So, but for mostly the public stuff, we use this site, the COD site, for like models and stuff like that. Hillsdale, you guys are in the slight risk level 2 out of 5. All hazards are possible. Mainly going to be a hail and wind threat, in my opinion. Low chance of a tornado. Timing is going to be roughly probably right between 2 and 4 p.m. for you guys in Hillsdale. All right, I see a lot of questions asking about specific areas again, so I'm going to go ahead and recap. I'll go ahead and hop off. So let's go ahead and start this over. So if we go back to a regional view here, we do have a slight risk that's in effect here for areas in yellow. That's areas, going back and zooming in back here, Detroit, Ann Arbor, Jackson, Adrian, Monroe, Coldwater, Battle Creek, Three Rivers, Kalamazoo, Hastings, Lansing, Flint. You guys are all in the slight risk, which is the highest risk for tomorrow, level 2 out of 5. And then in dark green there, from Port Huron to Ionia, Grand Rapids, Holland, South Haven, Benton Harbor, you guys are in a lesser of a threat, but still a threat nonetheless. Within the slight risk, we have a 5% outline of a tornado risk. So those areas I mentioned at first, Detroit, Ann Arbor, Monroe, Jackson, Flint, Coldwater, Lansing, Hastings, Battle Creek, Kalamazoo, you guys are all in the 5% risk. And then further to the north, Port Huron, Ionia, Grand Rapids, Benton Harbor, South Haven, you guys are in the 2% tornado risk, lower risk. Risk for wind is not currently that high. It could get upgraded in future outlooks. Then the hail threat is going to be number one threat for tomorrow, a 15% contour there for those exact same areas across South and Southeast Michigan. So all hazards are possible. Timing on this, we're going to watch morning showers and storms moving in tonight. Nothing severe is expected tonight. They're going to move out by right around 8 to 9 a.m., just some scattered showers left over. And then look to the west across Lake Michigan, North Illinois. There's your line developing at noon tomorrow in West Michigan. So we're going to bump this forward. There's noon. There's 1 p.m. that continues to develop. 2 p.m. Nice little squall line there. There's 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and then clears the state by around 6 or 7. So between noon and 6 is your time frame. Yes, after this system, we do trend colder. Although colder for this time of year is more so 50s, 40s and upper 50s. The low temperatures, though, are going to flirt with freezing. So we're probably going to be looking at some hard freezes coming up here. More than likely this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, potentially, for some hard freezes. Is Michigan better off than Ohio? I would say no. I think Ohio, Northwest Ohio in particular, has a little bit better of an environment than up here in Michigan. But again, that could change. Gale warnings on Lake Erie? I did not know that. I don't see those. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are. Check that out. Small craft advisory. Okay. Oh, I see, Christine. You're asking if there is gale warnings. No, I don't see any gale warnings for Lake Erie. I do see a small craft advisory, though. It says sustained winds up to 25 knots. So roughly like 30 to 35 miles an hour. And here's another model here we can look at from the NAM 3. This model is showing a similar story here, where rain is overnight tonight, moves in roughly right around midnight, 10 p.m. to midnight-ish. Be raining all night tonight, and then as we get to the morning hours, it clears out, and that line of storms develops roughly the same area here in West Michigan at noon. So timing on this is pretty much locked down. That will continue right across the state here. Although this model is showing more so individual. Whoops. Did not mean to do that. Let's do this again. I accidentally X'd that out. So this model in particular, though, is showing these storms more so isolated in nature, which could up that hail risk if these storms try to take advantage of the environment here. Where to go? Right here. So we have like these individual cells here, all the way from Salina, Ohio, all the way up into Mount Pleasant, Michigan. So if these cells do try to stay more isolated in nature, I could see a higher threat here for some larger type of hail. Christine, the winds are going to be gusting out of the east, from east to west. Andrew, I don't expect this to get as bad to stay home. I wouldn't adjust your plans. Just make sure that where you're at, you identify safe zones, safe places. In the event that a warning does get issued for your area, just know where to go. So if you're in the office, most likely a bathroom, or they'll have a designated shelter. At least they should. I believe legally they have to. So identify that. But otherwise, I wouldn't adjust any of your plans unless they're outdoor plans, and obviously adjust them. But I missed the Ohio page. How bad is Cleveland tomorrow? So Cleveland, you guys have a threat down there, right around the 5 to 6 p.m. time frame here. We actually see a good line of storms down here in Cleveland. You guys do have potential for all hazards down there as well: tornadoes, wind, and hail. And I did not. I X the SPC Outlook out as well. So maybe I'll bring that back up here for you guys. There we go. Do you think it will bust? I mean, every system has a bust potential with it. From what I'm understanding, what I'm interpreting from model data, I don't think it's going to bust tomorrow here in Michigan. What's up, Chris? At this point, Sarah, yes, based off morning models. Although if this trends more so like it did last night, I'd be more so concerned for a couple tornadoes possible. I still think even with the downtrend, it's going to be a low possibility. But overall, yeah, the hail risk is going to dominate this event, in my opinion. If that changes, we'll let you guys know. No problem, Christine. Have a good day. Yes, Chris. Chris is chasing. We have many chasers going out tomorrow. I'll be live here from home base streaming. So we will have you guys covered tomorrow with storm chasers in the field and also radar coverage as well. So operations as usual here at MSC. I'll take hail over tornadoes any day. I agree, Jeff. Completely agree. All right. Any more questions, guys? Been on here for about a half hour. So we will go live again at 8 p.m. tonight to discuss updated guidance from the afternoon. Do I have the how many people from late night crew are on here? Should we do a late night stream for models again, or what? Hopefully I can get a new roof. Those comments always make me laugh. I don't know why, but they do. So we could do it two ways for people. We'd have like a thing that happens here on MSC. We call it Late Night Crew, where we post late at night. And there's a lot of people actually up at like 2, 3 in the morning sometimes. So what we could do tonight, for those of you who are up late, we could do one of two things. Either one, we could do a model party, so to speak, at like 10 or 11, or we could do an SPC Outlook type of live stream at 2 in the morning and wait to see what we get for an Outlook from the SPC, and also combine that with models. So we can do one of the two. Yeah, there's Late Night Crew. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. All right, you guys, you guys are a force to reckon with. All righty. So I will be back on here at 8 p.m. tonight to discuss updated afternoon models. We'll also go over the updated SPC Outlook that comes out here in another hour and a half. If anything changes with the Outlook that is significant, I will go ahead and post that on the page to give you guys the update as soon as it happens. Otherwise, if nothing changes, we'll cover it again at 8 p.m. tonight. So if you guys want to tune back in at that point, you're welcome to. And we'll see about doing a late night stream here for models and maybe the SPC Outlook as well. So with that being said, you guys stay safe. Stay tuned to the page, NWS offices, as well as the SPC for latest guidance and forecasts. So with that being said, I'll be off here. Stay safe, guys. Enjoy a beautiful, another beautiful day.